to another segment of B3u, and I am very honored to have Mr. Bryan Hall on today's show. Bryan, yes, I've been waiting patiently to have this interview with you, my friend. Thank you for taking the time out to interview with me here on
I'm just
B3u.
I'm just glad we started on time. You know what I'm saying? That's all I care about. We started this thing on time, on God's time, not my time. You know what I'm
Good
saying?
God's
So
timing, God's timing. So let's jump right into it, Bryan. You are a former NFL player for the Baltimore Ravens. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
yeah, so 2011, um I signed as an undrafted free agent for opportunity to play for the Baltimore Ravens. Spent, some really great years up there. 11, 12, 13, and the 2012-13 season, won a Super Bowl. Had an opportunity to win that with the Baltimore Ravens. Got friendships and memories for a lifetime. And so forever grateful for that time in my life. And playing professional sports for, a total of 7 years was definitely a blessing in itself. So I'm excited and grateful for those moments and looking forward to building on top of those.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so what is Bryan doing today?
Yeah, so now I am a official financial representative for Northwestern Mutual, and so I started that journey about a year ago. So a year later, fully committed to it, loving what I do, loving the impact that I'm able to have for a lot of families and a lot of people out here in the world now. Just doing financial planning for them, understanding the value of generational wealth and how we get there. And so continuing to build on the things that I've known. Obviously, being a professional athlete, taking some of the tools that I've learned and the experiences, the lessons I've been taught over the last few years and applying those now and giving them back to the youth through athletic sports, but then also just families, communities, making sure they understand financial literacy and have a chance to raise their awareness of the value of what it could bring.
Awesome. I love it. I love it with the kids. So, Bryan, we all, B3u is about burning, breaking, and becoming unstoppable. Everyone has a story. Everyone has experienced something in their life that was traumatic that either they're going through or have been through. So, I want to ask you, was there a moment in your life where you were carrying trauma? Maybe you didn't know what it was at the time. What is your story?
I mean, yeah, man, I guess every
Just pick
part of
one.
the
I
journey
know.
is a story, right?
I know.
And
Yes.
yeah, obviously I knew I was going to this call at some point, and um, I just thought, whatever would pop up in my head as far as just overcoming some things. Um, obviously, football played a major part of my life, and so I think that, there are some glorious things about, like I said, obviously some of the reasons why we're on the phone today is because of some of the things I have accomplished, right? But there are always stories of how I even got to that spot in the first place, right? There's millions of guys who train every year for opportunity to play, collegiately, right? Professionally. And for me to be able to achieve the highest of those levels and receive the highest of the honors as far as winning the Super Bowl, which is the highest that you get in professional football, right? Um, there's stories way before that too that played a part in even me having that opportunity. And so, um, I guess one of the ones I always think about when people talk about my football career, especially playing professional, is that, I came out in a very unique year, which was 2011. 2011, um, we had the NFL, the Players Association, and the teams, right? They were going through a collective bargaining agreement, and then they ended up having a lockout. And so, having that lockout, um, it meant that there was no football. And so, in 2011, after the NFL draft, there was no football activities going on at all while they worked out a contract. And so, I had a pretty successful collegiate career. I was, definitely proud of it. I felt that I was worthy enough of getting my name called, and I did not get my name called, right? And so, after the draft, at that point, you don't know what you're going to end up doing because there's no football, no teams can communicate with you, and so a lot of guys that came out my year. Um, never even had an opportunity at all because, from April to July, there was no word of having football at all. Close to a canceled season, close to a lot of different things. And so, what do you do from April to July? And so, a lot of guys lost out on their opportunity by a year because of those things, those moving parts that were out of our control. And so, um, like I said, I felt that I had an opportunity, didn't know if it was going to be an opportunity or not. And so, I ended up moving back home to my hometown. I'm actually in right now, Paducah, Kentucky. And so what ended up happening was um, I kept working out. I kept working out. I thought that I did enough. I had an agent, I had other guys I was talking to. I had opportunities to go to like Canada, the CFL, other like arena football were reaching out to me, trying to see if they can get me to come out and play. But I was dedicated to knowing that, my love for this game always meant hitting the highest levels, right? I would, that's what I always wanted to get done. And so I moved back home. This is, I got my degree, I got everything I need. It's hard to tell my parents that I need a place to stay while I'm trying to work on a dream that had no guarantee it would happen. Right. And so I started working at my old high school, Paducah Tillman High School. I was a janitor, right? Which meant I would be up there at like 5 a.m. and essentially like moving on the desk around, scraping gum off, repainting the walls, all the projects and things that I guess you never realized were going on during the summer that the school does to make sure the school year is, ready for the next year. And so um, I would go from 5 a.m. to 3 o'clock in the afternoon and work this job. And then from 3 to 5, I would work out and I work out by myself. Very humble at times because what's even crazy is that in the school system here in Kentucky, they hold your first month's check, right? So you get paid once a month and they hold your first check. So now I'm working a job that I don't even realize I'm not receiving any money in June, right? So it's like there's no money coming in and I won't get paid until the end of July, my first check. And so essentially I'm working for free for 2 months. And so that was challenging to the point where, my parents were like, look, man, you got to get you a job. I know you got this dream of this NFL thing, but it's not happening. It ain't going on today. And you ain't going to be under our roof not making no money, even though I had a job. Right.
Right.
And so one of the craziest things was I went and interviewed at Pepsi out here. Right. And he's like, go get a job. So I go interview with the guy and I end up telling him, like, here, I have a degree. I'm fully capable of working this job. I'm fully capable of doing all these things, but I have to let you know that I'm fully expecting to go to the NFL within the lockout, right? And so I was like, I don't know how long I'll be here. I may be here for a month. I may be here for 2 months. I can't tell you how long, but as soon as that opportunity comes, I'm going to take this job. And so Pepsi did not hire me, right? They were like,
Oh
"No,
my
we're not gonna take a
God.
chance on you." Hey, good luck with that, bro. Being from Paducah, talking about you want to go to the NFL. And so, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of hard times, even fighting for that dream, right? It wasn't something that was easy. A lot of dark days because you're doing things. I'm training, and I'm working my tail off, just to be in that position that I didn't even know for sure that I had a chance. I just had a feeling that if an opportunity came, I would have it. And I'll never forget, man, one of my good friends, he ended up, we were out at a bar one night and I was just depressed. Like, man, I've been working my tail off and, it's getting crazy. It's in the middle of July and I haven't heard anything. And, I don't know if I'm going to have a chance or not. And so he let me decompress and unwind. And, we just talked a little bit. And then that next week, I get a call from the Baltimore Ravens amongst 13 to 14 other teams once the NFL lockout lifted, right? And they said they were interested in bringing me in. And so, I took that opportunity and ran with it, understanding how hard I had to fight for it, understanding that it wasn't conventional, but nothing about my life's been conventional. And so, yeah, I took that opportunity and, uh, proceeded to have a 7-year career in football. So, a lot of people see the Super Bowls and accolades and, playing with Hall of Famers and all those things, but they don't understand what I had to do and how I had to fight just to be in that opportunity. So, I think that's something that's hopefully beneficial to people out there to understand that, you may have something that's been placed on your heart that you have no idea how you're going to get there, but it's the right thing to do and it's the right thing to work for. And so, like I said, I had my parents doubt me. And and it's not like doubt, like they didn't believe in me. They just looking at the reality of everything, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not necessarily hate or anything like that. They're just like, we're just being real. Like, you haven't heard from these people in 3 months. Why do you still believe in it the way you do? And like I
Is,
said, I didn't
is
have an
that
answer.
at any moment did you say did you give up? Did you say it's not going to happen?
Shit, I
Was
almost did the week before, yeah, the weekend before that, because I was like, man, it was, frustrating. And, right when you're ready to quit, man, it's right when your breakthrough's there. And so, because I worked out, because I was, staying diligent with it when I got my opportunity, a lot of guys weren't doing that, right? So a lot of guys got sent home and cut and all those things, just not being prepared for that opportunity in the same fashion that I was. And so I was able to really ascend based on the work that I'd already put in. Right. And so, yeah, there are hard times. And like I said, the hardest thing is even explaining why you believe you have an opportunity, right? Why this thing is even on your heart when there's nothing showing that's possible, right? And, you haven't talked to any NFL teams. You haven't talked to anybody in months about this. So how do you even know this opportunity still waiting? But some told me that, that's what you want to do and you got to give it your all. And, just so happened that, the phone rang and I had an opportunity to play for the Baltimore Ravens. And the rest is history.
wow. So I heard you say that there was some dark, depressing times. You said about a week before you was just about to give up. And I also noticed you said, you were working out and going to work that did not pay you. So what was some of those coping mechanisms besides just, going to work and working out? What
Yeah, I
kept you
mean,
strong? Where was your mind at during this time?
my mind was just focused on the opportunity, that I couldn't explain, right? That's what kept me going. That's what kept me excited. I mean, obviously as a cat, as a kid, as a child, you understand that, the NFL is the dream job, right? And
Yeah.
I put in work in college. I really worked. I thought I had a really great senior season. I thought that I had earned that right. And so I wanted to see it through. And there was nothing else about it. There was no only thing I did was put the work in, right? I went to work, I buckled down. I had a job that, bought up a lot of my time. And in the meantime, I would just be training. And then the rest of the time was just spent around my family, right? And working and staying out of trouble. And like I said, just locked in. I'm from a, humbling place where you can't get in too much trouble. And if you are getting in trouble because you too damn bored and you need to be doing something else. And so just staying at it and staying focused at it and understanding that, the NFL will be back one day. And when it is, will you be ready? And if you're called upon, if that call does come, what are you going to do about it? And I was able to have that. I got a great supporting family, a loving family, but like I said, they had realistic expectations, right? Which is nothing wrong with it. They just weren't realistic for me, and so I had to understand that. Yeah, it was just something that was when it's something that's placed on your heart as much as it was for me. There was no turning back. It was just only pressing forward, just to see, right? I mean, I failed a million times in my life and I've always survived it, right? So could I survive holding out for a dream of mine? The answer is always going to be yes, right? It's just will it be worth it? And thank God, uh, believing and having faith in myself and in God, it revealed to me that it all was. And so I'm grateful for it.
Awesome. So now you finally make it. You get to the NFL, and you were a defensive tackle who also transitioned to a linebacker. What was the biggest challenge switching position? Were there any challenges?
Everything. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's more. I'm a guy that's never backed down from a challenge, good or bad. Some things have worked out very well, just like, holding out the opportunity to play in the NFL, right? That was something that ended up working out very well for me. And I ended up having the challenge of moving after the Super Bowl. So after the Super Bowl, we ended up, I got a call from the head coach and he wanted me to uh, dropped down to a linebacker. He thought I was athletic enough. He thought I had the solid build and was able to, be a football player to do it. And I loved the game. I loved my team. I loved everything about it so much that I decided to do it. And so I ended up losing like 70 pounds in like 3 or 4 months. Got myself in position to play middle linebacker, and I played middle linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens for a time, a period of time. And so um, didn't work out to the way I wanted it to, but the fact that I was bold enough to even try it set the standard of who I am as a person today. Not being afraid to really push myself and fail forward. You know, it's not about failing backwards; it's about just failing forward. And so, I can look at that today. I struggled a lot with that. Because I ended up getting cut out the league and I ended up going to Canada and doing other different things because of that situation. But because of that situation, I was able to get more experience, more opportunities in life, meet really great people along the way and still be able to move forward in my life. And so, the tough times, the hard times really defined who I was and who I am today. And so I just continue to learn those lessons along my journey as I continue to grow. So
What was your most memorable time in the NFL with the Baltimore Ravens?
yeah, I mean, it had to be winning the Super Bowl. Rest in peace to my big bro Jacoby Jones, my frat brother. Uh, we lost him last year, and he's a hometown kid from New Orleans, grew up there. Ed Reed, that's my big bro. Shout out to him. Uh, a lot of these guys, man, we worked extremely hard and we grew together and forged a brotherhood through fire, right? And so, to work that hard and for it to end up with the biggest prize of it all, as far as being a kid, right? Everyone watching the Super Bowl to be a part of that and to win it is unbelievable, and that's forever etched in stone. There's nothing that can be taken away from me, and that brotherhood that was founded in everything that we did still lives on to this day. So definitely grateful for that experience and how it's launched me in my life forward.
Wow. Who were some of the veterans maybe who helped you through, who had a major influence? Who were those major veterans?
Yeah, I mean, there's too many to count. I got
Too many. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, so many different guys. One of my, like I said, one of some of my guys, Jacoby Jones, uh, Big Bro, Vontae Leach, a lot of my frat brothers. Being in a fraternity allows you to, have, common interests with guys really quickly and build on. Ed Reed is a big bro of mine to this day. Still think the world of him. Really showed me the way. Um, I guess one of the funny stories is I'm a kid from Kentucky, right? So I'm a humble beginnings type of guy, and I'll never forget going to uh, what's the steakhouse? Morton's. We went to Morton's, and there's a
Yeah.
guy named Corey Redding, right? Decided to take all the guys out. A night on the town while we were, in camp or right after camp after we made the team. And I'll never forget sitting there with like five forks, five spoons, and napkins, and all of these things. And I ordered a well done steak, right? It's most embarrassing times, and they really let me know just how bad it was to eat go to Morton's, a really nice steakhouse, to order a well done steak. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't even fathom. They're like, yo, you're not even getting the good, you're getting good cuts of meat, and you're just burning it up. So you're not even appreciating it. And so, guys helping you not only become a professional athlete, but helping you to build the makings and the DNA of what manhood looks like. Like I said, man, I still carry those lessons and experiences with me today. So
Awesome. So after transitioning, life after football, did you have a plan for what came next after return, or was it a process of discovery?
probably a little bit of both. It's never really an and or. It's usually both. I had a plan. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I went to school for business. That's another thing about the opportunity that I had. Like I earned it, but also earned my degree. After football, I went back got my MBA from Arkansas State, where I played football at it originally, because I had already started it and only had a few classes left. So I got my MBA. I knew that I wanted to own businesses. When I got out of the league, I was in car sales. I was a salesperson, and then transferred into a financial manager. Then I got out of that. I owned a gym and was training athletes and supporting them and building a nonprofit. And then but I knew that I wanted to work for myself. I knew that I wanted to have an impact on as many lives as possible. I knew I didn't want to coach just because of so many different things in life. I wanted to coach people in life and business, but not necessarily only being relegated to what football can bring, because that's only a certain amount of people, right? Uh, they say 1% of these people will become professional athletes. And which one is more important, that 1% or the 99%? Right? There's a lot more people in the 99 than the 1%, right? So you want to be able to learn how to support that. And so what I've always done was staying on track to how can I support as many people as possible with the gifts and the tools that God blessed me with. And then what does that actually look like? And yeah, I mean, I've been through, you know, lots of different careers and experiences to understand now what I do as far as being a financial advisor or a financial rep for Northwestern Mutual. Now understanding the things that I'm doing as far as with my foundation, like from Academy, uh, kind of put me into that groove where I'm able to maximize what my skill set is, and then also maximize what the amount of support that I can give the people that I care about and my community that I love. So.
That is awesome, Brian. You are, I must tell you, I've told you this before, but a man at your age, so young, you are very empowering with the things that you do, the young people that you touch. So you rather touch the 99% than the 1%, and I love that. So how do you take criticism? How do you handle pressure and criticism?
Uh, Criticism, you got to have a certain level of caliber of even experience in life to be able to properly criticize me. There's a lot of people that criticize you that have no merit at all in your life to even talk about you. So, if you're to come to me and talk to me, I'm a football player, right? So if it's a football player, if it's a guy that knows football that wants to criticize me on football, great. But if the guy that wants to criticize me in my business, and he doesn't have any idea how to run a business or be a part of it, then your criticism doesn't mean much at all to me at all. Right? I don't look at criticism, I don't look at you either building me or you're in the way, right? So you gotta be qualified to have a criticism, right? Worth something,
Right.
right? If you can do that, then that's cool. Pressure is a privilege. That's one thing that I've learned in life and sports and understanding that, what opportunity you have, especially when you're in alignment with yourself, where you're supposed to be at in your purpose. And if you believe in a higher God, if you believe in a higher thing, being besides you, something being bigger than you, then you know that anything bestowed on you like this is an honor. That way you can show and reveal everything you've worked so hard to be your entire life. So I look at pressure as just a privilege and an opportunity, man, to really go do some really great things. So I don't run away from pressure. I kind of, indulge in it.
And that's good. That's good. That's what I want to talk about because if you look in it in the arena of entertainment, football, music, uh, we see what's going on right now. We see what's going on, and I think that a lot of people who go in there. The reason why I asked about the criticism or pressure is because I believe a lot of people who go into these entertainment realms, they're coming from their little states, the little town that they may be in, and then they come, bam, here go the lights, the glitter, the action. And it takes a strong man such as yourself not to get wrapped up. Now, I'm not going to go into the Diddy parties. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go, but I really,
Neither.
I feel sorry for a lot of things that I see in the entertainment realm. Some, even in the football, we've seen uh, things, Michael Vick with the dog. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like the stupid things that the media will blow up really big and, the pressure, the criticism that you guys get. And it seems like you stay really grounded with knowing who you are, number one, knowing what you wanted to do. And so that's, the reason why I asked, like, how do you handle it? Because there is young people out here right now who has the same vision or the same goals, that they want to be the singer, they want to be the football player, so, you're showing people how hard you had to work to get where you wanted to be, and you stayed grounded during that time, even before, during, and after. And I know your passion is young people. And you said you do coaching too, right?
Something like that. Oh, crash out. Oh, bam, we're back. Can you see me?
Okay. Yeah, I can see you. You're good.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So I do training. I do position training for kids. Um, I do, things like that. And I think the number one thing that what you're talking about also is just how to build a foundation, right? And what are you founded in? Where are your feet actually at? Because with entertainment and all those things too, man, a lot of stuff, a lot of the pressure and the things that you're talking about is all starting up here, right? It's like, is it actually real? Are those real things that you're talking about that actually is pressure? Like, what do you use it for? All of those things. And so, I've come a long way in life. Like, this is the Brian you're talking to today, right? Brian 20 years ago or 15 or even 5 years ago, you probably get different answers, right? And one of my biggest uh, lessons that I always, talk about is just being maturity, being a lesson learned, right? It's just, are you learning these lessons so that when these, opportunities pop up, or you still got to go through them every time where they're dictating you versus what you're dictating for yourself, right? And so it's just like I said, me just understanding I got to be able to control what I can control. I still battle those things, right? I still got to work through those things as well. I'm not a finished product with that, but I do have experiences that I can lean back on. I do have wins in my life, right? Where it's put me in a position to know that I'm what I'm capable of. So I'm able to capable, I've overcome every dark time in my life, right? And that's something I can lean back to, right? To know that if I've been able to do it before, I can do it again, right? And the thing is, you may not be the way you thought it was going to be, but the fact that you did it in itself is already a blessing. If you can see that for yourself, right? Some people don't see that. Some people constantly are, beat themselves up and digging themselves deeper, that they don't realize all they're doing is just burying themselves more instead of the opportunity to stop, breathe, consider, right, and give yourself a chance to grow. So I think that, we talk about the kids and, what I'm able to do with the kids, I'm just trying to raise awareness. Because we know the more awareness you have, the more opportunities you have to choose. A lot of people in their lives right now aren't able to choose because they're allowing circumstances to choose for them, right? My job is, when guys are going through hard times, I'm a big male advocate in mental health. I'm big in mental health general, right? And, one of the things is that a lot of guys, kids, youth, adults, everybody, you'll hear them say, well, I had no other choice. I had no other chance. I had no other whatever it is. And, that's a sad reality to have to live in, to think that everything that you're doing is dictated by everybody else.
That's
And
right.
you don't have an opportunity to change your life. And so when you start putting everybody else to blame, then you give them the opportunity to change you. And the thing about it is, no one's going to do that, right? That's an inside job. That's something you got to take, advantage of for yourself. And so I think that, understanding that the pressures, the criticism, all those things like that is just things that we're putting into our heads. And what healthy things are you putting in your head that when things are going against you, you have a way to rise and conquer them.
And I so 1,000% believe in everything you just said. And that's the impact of leadership. So you've been through a lot, you've experienced and you shaped the way you led and support and you mentor others now, which is a big need in our younger generation. They need to know how to, once they get to that point, how do you stay grounded? How do you stay focused? And, because I'm sure that when you enter a realm like that, it could be a wild experience. Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always funny, and like I said, this is me talking. It's always funny when people talk about like our youth of people and why they're so important. And like I said, I know you said I'm younger, but I got a lot of people that's younger than me, right? So it makes me older than a lot of people. And so I never really understand like where the line is drawn between being in your youth and then being an adult, and why once you transfer into the adult, the onus isn't just as important as it is for the youth, because at the end of the day, the youth is still looking somewhere, right? And I think that we put a lot of onus on going backwards, that we forget about the people who are already in front of them, right? So I think that having the adults, having these conversations, right, changing those dynamics. People think that it's like action is the way you learn from people, right? Not about what they say, but what they're doing. And so there's only so much you can do with the youth when the youth is actually looking back at you. Right. So they're saying, yeah, I know you're telling me what to do, but you're not living it in your own life. So then how can you possibly mean anything you're saying when you're not even acknowledging it in your own life? Right.
Right.
So, I think it's one thing to say the youth, and I 100% believe in that. But at some point, we got to go back and make sure the adults are still fighting for a chance to grow too. Because I know a lot of 40-year-old men that act like they're 19, right? Because at 19 they stopped growing. At 19 they thought they figured everything out and they have a reason to grow. I know 30-year-old women, right? That that act like 15-year-olds. I know, there's so many different cases that show you that age and maturity aren't on the same level at all. And so I think that, us having a more totality look at it of saying like, okay, cool, you're gonna talk to this 13-year-old kid. That 13-year-old kid got to go home to somebody that's older than them that has responsibilities for them. So we can't disregard that piece of it and act like, we're like, oh, we'll go save the kids. Those kids have adult parents around them that are the biggest influencers of everything they're doing. So our message can only go so far, but it has to include as many people as possible because we don't know what that one seed to do for the next generation, for the next people, for the example that they're setting out there. Because those kids become adults, right? And we can't disregard them at that point because those kids then become the adult leaders and examples of our next future people coming up. And so, like I said, I love the youth, right? But I try to find ways as an adult, as a man, as the people that I'm around, as the influencers, and the people who are being the example for us to make sure that they're giving out the best example, and then that's how we help the youth the most. Because, like I said, we can feed them to their blue in the face, but at the end of the day, they're going to watch your example. They're going to watch the adults, and they're criticizing them because if you knew better, you do better. And if you're older, you have way more opportunities to know better and do better, right? So I think that the onus doesn't just fall on the youth; it doesn't just fall on us. I think there's a group effort that we all can be better from. I've learned a lot from people younger than me. I've learned a lot of people from older than me, right? But it's just the fact that I'm willing to learn that separates me from a lot of people because I don't know everything. So I'm always looking to build and grow. So
That's awesome. So when you talk to other people, especially men or young people, what are your truths that you tell them about trauma, or do you share that with them as well?
yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily believe in like my truths being more important than what the truths you need to know, right? And so, my job at the end of the day is just to try to raise awareness. I don't really do anything past that point because at the end of the day, it's up to you to choose your life, right? So I think we get too caught up in telling somebody what to do, but you don't know the quite circumstances. You don't know if they articulated exactly what's going on with them, right? It could be so many different things. And so I just want to show them that there are other options out there other than the ones they're thinking, right? Somebody could be, beating themselves up because of college. And for some reason, they don't really feel like they need to go to college, right? They want to go do something with their hands. They want to do these other different things. And so it could be pointing them to the opportunity of a trade school, right? Or understanding that, they got unions out here that pay very well money and protect their people once you're involved in them. And so there's so many different outside the box things that maybe I did or maybe I didn't do, right? That we want to be able to show those people because not everything that's meant in your life was meant for the next person. And so I don't necessarily give my truths on things more than showing them awareness, right, of other opportunities and options out there for them, and allow them to decide for themselves. I don't really believe in telling people what to do. I at least want to give them more education, more awareness, more information, right, so they can make a proper choice in their life instead of having somebody else choose for them.
That is good stuff. That is good stuff. So let me ask you about your, you know, what is your peace and your freedom look like today, and how do you protect your freedom and your peace from things that you have been
Man, living in it, living in it definitely helps out. Not trying to separate my life. I think that's when things get weird when you try to do these like file cabinets of emotions and whatever's going on. My peace of mind and my freedom of peace of mind, I think are very important to me. And when I'm thinking clearly, when my spirit's okay, when I'm okay with myself, man, life is looking like a glorious place to be, right? When I'm down on myself, when I'm allowing other situations and circumstances to dictate me, right? That's when I don't have that freedom anymore. That freedom is belongs to somebody else and is able to control it. And then that's where things start to really take a turn for myself, right? And those are things I work on till this day. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a human, just like everybody else. We all have our internal battles that we're all going to continue to fight, because one, it's worth fighting because on the other side of it could be something that's not only beneficial for you, but the next person as well. And so, I protect mine by being a part of it and recognizing all sides, right? And giving myself the best opportunity to choose my life and choose the way I want to be and having the support around me that allows the same thing. And so having the right people around you, um, but you got to be able to reveal who you really are too, right? I think that's half the problem is, being honest and transparent about where you are in this very moment, right? It may be ahead of somebody, maybe behind somebody, but at least you know exactly where you're at so you can actually build from that. A lot of people try to build from a place they're not even at and wonder why they haven't made it there, right? And so, I'm able to be transparent with the people I love, and then that gives them the best opportunity to support who I really am. And so I try to be as truthful and transparent about who I really am, gives them a chance to support me. And then that's how I continue to cultivate myself and also cultivate the people around me.
Bryan, how many times have I said you're amazing? Are you counting?
Nah, I
Bryan,
haven't
I
that.
am so glad to have had this opportunity to partner with you because B3u is a place where we can be transparent. And I love that you came on here and you were just your truest self. And that's what we try to get people to do. Show their transparency because it's all about the 99%, right? It's all about the
Absolutely.
99%.
Well,
And
it's all
that's
about the 100%. Like, let's
the
not forget,
100%.
right? Because you also gotta look at it as that 1%. Like, people don't look at the world, man. Like 1% of the world controls the entire world, right? And so, like, the onus of those people in that 1% role, they have to understand how their voice it amplifies and exemplifies a lot of people out here who don't even have their own, right? And so, that's why someone like, a professional athlete, people that people know they recognize and build off of, right? Like it's a part of the 100%. I'm just saying that the 99% are usually forgot about because the 1% usually controls the 99%. And so the 99% are just trying to keep up and they're trying to fit into the whole of the 1%, not knowing that they'll never make it through that, right? And so my job is to let the 99% know there are other options that you can do and you can still be yourself and you don't have to chase what you think the 1% of people are doing because quite honestly, you don't even know what the 1% of people are doing. They're just
That's
telling
true.
you what to do, right? And they're not even living those same experiences. And that's where
Exactly.
a lot of clashes are going on even to this day. That's why the social media stuff is blowing up. You got influencers that are influencing people to do things they never done,
Oh my
actually,
goodness,
right?
yes.
So it's a lot of different, sides of it. And so it's not about just the 99%, it's about the 100%. But I just think the 99% are usually forgotten about because the 1% is too busy trying to control where they're going instead of giving people the freedom of choice.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. And I like that too because, being in this realm of podcasting, being a motivational, inspirational speaker, um, you look at people who are video content creators, and there is 1,000 different ways to do something. And
Mhm.
I just realized that, I take my bits and pieces and then I just kind of be genuine and just do what it is Bree wants to do,
Yeah,
or how she wants to do it, and talk about it. And I look, even in this span of time that we have been introduced and known each other, I'm 54, and you have taught me. So you are right, very entitled. Again, I thank you for coming on the show, for being transparent, and I pray for you, my brother, in every step of all of your endeavors, anything that you touch. I pray for peace and blessings, multitude on you, multitude.
thank
You
you.
are amazing, and I look forward to continue to work with you. I'm really looking forward to partnering together so we can help those that need the help, that need the guidance, that need the direction. This is what B3u is all about because we truthfully, truthfully, it is time. The time is now to save our society.
I
People
thought the
in
B stood for Brian this whole time. That's the only reason why I did
say what you thought the beast
Guess we
for?
learned. I guess we learn something new every day. I thought the beef was from Brian. I thought it was dedication to me. I'm like, I ain't cool. B3, I'm like, I ain't cool. And Brian 3 times. That makes a lot of sense.
No. Well, you know what? I no, it stands for burn, breaking, and becoming unstoppable, which
Well, there
is
should be a
what you.
Brian in that at some point. Brian. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Look, my goodness, look, I appreciate you, Brian. Well, I'll look at working it in there somewhere. I'll work it out for you.
Yeah, on the back. Yeah,
My
put me at the back door. You know what I'm
put
saying?
you at the
Yeah,
back door. Okay, I'll put your little
yeah. There you
icon
go.
in
Yeah,
there somewhere. My brother, I thank you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your knowledge. And I look forward to seeing you again. Will you come back?
absolutely. Yeah, for
Great.
sure.
Great.
Absolutely.
All my viewers out there, I thank you. I thank you for joining me, myself, and Mr. Bryan Hall. Thank him so much for coming on, and we will see you again on another B3u segment. You guys take care of yourselves.